Okay, I think we're now live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Code Yourself Scratch Day Hangout. My name is Areti.
And I'm Maria.
And we're really excited to have the opportunity to engage with you once again through in a different way. So apologies for the delay. We had some technical problems, but Maria saved the day by bringing her laptop, so it's all good. So the plan for today is to tell you a little bit about the course, talk a little bit about programming, do some live scratching and so forth. But I think we'll start by introducing Maria, who's our new teaching assistant.
Hi. Well, I'm Maria. I'm a PhD student at the University of Edinburgh. And yes, I recently started helping Areti with Code Yourself, as well as other events that teach Scratch to people.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
And what do you do as a teaching assistant in the Code Yourself course?
I mainly check on the forums and make sure everything is all right. Keep track of what you guys are doing and so on.
Mm-hmm. Great. You're going to tell us more about that in a minute. But first, I think it's worth telling our learners, you mentioned you're doing a PhD, right?
Yeah.
And I'm curious, and I'm pretty sure many people will be curious to hear what it is about.
It's actually about programming languages.
Oh, yeah.
I make new programming languages. And in particular, the kind of programming languages that help us build statistical models and do machine learning and data science and all sorts of hyped fields like that.
Yes, yeah. There is a lot of hype around machine learning.
There is a lot of hype
and data science. But some of our learners might not actually know what machine learning is or what data science might be. Would you mind explaining very briefly, just to bring everyone on the same page?
Yeah, absolutely. So machine learning is when, and data science is when we have lots of data. It could be any source of data. It could be visual, it could be images, or it could be text. And then we analyze this data and learn from it using very complicated mathematical algorithms to kind of be able to see patterns and to know what to expect if we see other data similar to that one.
Yes, that sounds really fascinating. Okay, you're currently doing a PhD, but when did you start programming, or what got you interested in, how did you start programming?
Yeah, I think it was, I loved computer games when I was little. I absolutely loved them. And my dad had a little bit of experience with programming. He was like a very technical man. So I would often ask him, Daddy, how do I make a computer game? And I know it sounds so, everybody says that, but it was true. Like I really wanted to make computer games. And my dad told me, well, you have to write it. And I was so confused by that. What does that mean? You have to write a computer game? How do I write a computer game? So yeah, I was very confused. And when I started having programming classes in high school, I signed up because I wanted to know what it means to write a computer game. And now I can't write a computer game because that's very complicated. Maybe in Scratch isn't, but like full.
Depends. I mean, if you want to go for a professional computer game, yes, it takes a lot of effort, and usually many people as well.
Many people.
Yeah, there's lots of elements, but you've seen different games in Scratch that our learners build. What do you think about those?
Oh, they're so much fun. I saw some what are they called, like Flappy Bird games. I love those. They're adorable. I really like them, and they're really hard. Some of them are just
very sophisticated.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the occasion for today's hangout is a Scratch Day, and today, 12th of May 2018, is a Scratch Day. So really, it's a celebration of the Scratch programming language and the Scratch programming environment, but most importantly, the Scratch community. So yes, you've seen really cool games in Scratch, and you're not the only one. I think you can do really, really exciting and fun things in Scratch. So yes, here we are to celebrate Scratch Day with you. Let's start by having a look at what is going on in the course. So, as you know, every month there's a new session starting. So currently, people that are following the course, I think you are on week 3. So week 3 of the course. So I suppose so far you've seen what algorithms are, what selection, sequence, and iteration is. You've had a look at event-driven programming. And I think on week 3 is where we discuss remixing games, which is one of my favorite things to do. So Maria, you've been moderating the forums or looking at what people discuss in the forums. Is there anything that you would like to share with our learners watching now?
Yeah. Well, sure. So firstly, there are a lot of new people starting. There have been a lot of introductions and people from all over the world, which is very exciting. So we have, for instance, here Jin from Korea, Mary from Canada, Stephanie from Nigeria, Magda from Edinburgh, Rachel from Sydney, Audrey from North Carolina, and Tundi from Nigeria.
Oh wow, exciting!
And probably others. I'm sorry if I forgot somebody.
Well, there's many learners joining.
There are so many learners that are joining. Yes, and there has been a lot of activity and people asking questions and people posting their algorithms and so on. And here I have like one very recent question actually from Magda, who asks how to, so she said that she has a problem to load her programs in Scratch Online if she had saved them as a zip file. And here the answer is try saving as an SB2 file, which is the Scratch format. And then you should be able to open it in Scratch Online. And if you've already saved in zip format, try changing the extension. So rename it to .sb2 and then try that way. That should work.
And actually in week 1, I can't remember which video it is, but one of the first videos where we show how you can use Scratch, we actually show how you can save your file in Scratch, how you can download it to your own computer when you're using the online version. And yes, make sure it's a .sb2 file.
Yeah,
good. Anything else that might be worth sharing?
I was particularly impressed with this. It's a little bit like older post, maybe from a month ago, but I was very impressed with what one of our students kind of observed, which is OE1, I think is their name. I'm sorry if I mispronounce this, but OE1 so that like in order to write an algorithm, we need to make some assumptions about the underlying system. Let's put it that way. So for instance, for Cody brushing teeth, we assume that Cody knows English, so we can instruct Cody in English. And I think this is very important because it is exactly like that with computers too. We have to know what we're communicating with. So if we do very low level programming, when we program the very core of the machine, we have to know what exactly this what the type of machine is, what kind of numbers it works with, and so on. So we know how to communicate with it. So yeah,
that's a very good point. Yeah, thank you. Good. And I suppose, is that it, or is there anything else that you might want to tell us about the forums?
I think that's it for now.
Okay. But, well, very well done. We're very keen to see discussions in the forums, and in the past we've seen some really good people really debugging or trying to help each other around questions that they had. So we definitely encourage this. We're around, and Maria's around, our mentors are around, who are a great source of help to answer your questions as well. But perhaps I should emphasize how important it is and how useful it is to answer each other's questions. So well done, and keep up the good work. Thank you, Maria. Perhaps apart from the questions that have come up recently in the forums, it might be worth answering a few frequently asked questions, and I'll do that. So very often we see questions around the practicalities of the course, as in, how do the quizzes work, or how do the peer assignments work? So I can explain a few things around those in the next couple of minutes. So quizzes. Right, so there's one quiz each week. They are assessed. Now, the fact that there's a quiz for each week doesn't mean that if you don't complete it by the end of week 1, that's you done. There are deadlines, and they are suggested deadlines so that you're on top of your work. But these are actually soft deadlines. So as long as you complete the work by the end of the course, by the end of the 5 weeks, it's absolutely fine. But yes, we do definitely recommend that you try and complete them on time, because this way you won't get stressed and you'll follow a good pace, I think, with your programming. Moving on to peer assessments now. How do they work? So the way it works is the following. First of all, you work on your Scratch project. You work on it at home on your computer, so separately from the Coursera platform. You can use the offline Scratch editor or the online editor in Scratch on your web browser. Make sure you download it, just like Maria explained, as a .sp2 file. And then what you need to do is to upload it on the Coursera platform so it can be reviewed by your classmates. So make sure it is in the right format, otherwise they won't be able to open it. So once you've uploaded it there and submitted it, your classmates can have a look and review it or grade it based on the marking criteria that we've provided. Now, it's not just you waiting for your classmates to review your own work. You're expected to do the same. So you're expected to review at least 3 projects assigned to you. So again, if you see that .sp2 file, you need to download it to your machine, your computer, open it with the Scratch editor that you use, and again, a .sp2 file format is needed there. And go through the rubric, the marking rubric that we've provided you with, so you can do the grading. Now, once you've done that, once you've completed the marking of those 3 assigned projects, it is only then that you will be able to see the mark assigned to you by your classmates. So you definitely, this is something that is expected from you to do, but at the same time, I've always found it very useful to do peer marking, because well, it gives you some space to take a step back and look at the assignment that you just worked on from a new viewpoint. So you can see what other people did, how they thought around it, and what was deemed important by the course organizers for this project. So the marking rubric, I think, can guide you towards that. Maria, have you been involved in any peer assessment in the past?
Yeah, and it's always very fun. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely, because you kind of exactly take a step back and see what other people are doing, and it's very interesting because normally it's completely different, and this just it gives you so much more new ideas. It's great.
Yes, indeed. So yes, that's it, I think, when it comes to peer assessments. Another fairly frequently asked question is, okay, suppose I've completed the course, what do I do next? And that is something that we actually discuss in week 5. So if you really enjoyed it and you want to keep programming and keep learning new programming languages, the language that we recommend is Python.
Python. Yeah.
I think it works really well for beginners, and I think there are good links between Scratch and Python. But that doesn't mean that this is the only way to move forwards. There's other languages, there's other types of courses that you might be interested in, or you might just want to keep programming in Scratch and get even more competent in Scratch programming. And around that, we've had another question asked quite a few times, and that is, will there be another code yourself course, like a more advanced one? Well, so far there's no such plans, I'm afraid. And in fact, there are not that many resources out there, I think, around advanced Scratch programming. However, what I find useful is just browsing the Scratch projects uploaded on the Scratch website. Because actually many projects that people work on there, they're quite sophisticated, they're quite advanced. And I think they're a source of inspiration. So you can open them, try to play the games. And if you remember, there's a button there called See Script, I think, or Look into Script, or Look into the Code, something like that. So you can do that and see how they developed that particular program. And I think that's great. I think that's really one of the best ways to learn, to try to understand other people's code, tweak it, play with it, and extend it. And that's something.
Code yourself.
And code yourself. Yeah, that's it. Good. So I think that's enough with the talking. Let's do a little bit of Scratch programming. So to do that, and remember, I'm using Maria's computer, which is slightly different to mine, so I might be making some mistakes here. So I'm going to share my screen, and that might take a minute. Okay, so please bear with us. So let's see how we do that. There should be a button somewhere here.
Maybe like the.
I've done this before. So screen share, here it is. Okay. So I'll share my screen. Okay, very good. And now I'll go to the Scratch website. Okay, we found it here. And I'm going to be using the online editor, okay? So here I'm at the Scratch website, and I'll click on Try It Out. So my plan for today is to build a game, because Maria likes games, I like games, I'm sure you like games too. So I'm going to build a maze game. So nothing too sophisticated. So I'm going to start with a basic version of the game. But the reason why I think it's a cool game is because there are so many different ways to extend it. And we're going to talk about this in a minute. But first, let's introduce our characters, okay? So I'm not going to be working with a cat. I'm going to find a different animal. Okay, I'll go for the beetle. Good. I'm going to get rid of the cat and right-click on it. Maria, how do you right-click on your computer?
Oh. Well, that should work.
Okay. Okay, let's keep going and maybe we'll find a way. I'm going to introduce, let's see what else. I'm going to introduce something edible. A muffin. Good. I'm just trying to right click. Is there another way of right clicking, maybe apart from? No. Let's see if we can use a mouse. So perhaps I can explain what. So Maria, if you could find a mouse, and I'll explain what the game is about. So we're going to get rid of the cat in a minute, okay? Just bear with us. So the idea is that we have a beetle, and the player is supposed to navigate it through the maze to go and find a muffin. So I think these two guys are rather big, so I'm going to get them a little bit smaller. So let's see. One of the ways to shrink our sprites or our characters is by clicking on this button here and then clicking on our sprites. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, good. Now I'm going to shrink our muffin as well. Oh, I think we found a mouse. Good, thank you. Yes, brilliant. Let's shrink that muffin. Good. Now let's right click. For some reason, right clicking doesn't seem to be working. Okay, I'll go for a workaround. In your case, you should just right click and delete. Let's see. Yeah, it might have to do with Flash, I think, on the browser. So yeah. So right now, instead of right clicking and deleting the cat, I'm going to make the cat disappear. I think that's what I'm going to do. So there's something called hide. Okay, right now I'm going to double click on hide so it's not visible. That's not really the way to do it, but we're just working around it. Okay. Okay, so we said we've got the beetle, and the character, the player, controls the beetle and navigates through a maze to reach the muffin. Where's the maze? So we'll need to draw it. Okay, so I'll try to do it as quickly as possible. So if you click on stage and then go to backdrops, this is where you can edit your stage. So what I'm going to do is try and draw different lines. I'll get them a little bit thicker. Yeah, let's see how that goes. I don't have a golden plan for my maze here. Okay, I'm just gonna start drawing things. So just different lines, and I'll try to make it not too easy for the beetle to navigate the maze. So let's see. Go there and there. And here. Okay, let's make it harder. And there. Good. And then I'll draw some lines here. Okay, we are making Beetle's life not that easy, I think, which is what I was hoping for. Okay, I think that will do. Okay, so let's see. I'll go back to scripts and I'll click on Beetle, and well, let's think about the size here. I might get our Beetle to be slightly smaller so it can fit a little bit better. Yeah, there it is. If it turns out it's way too easy, then we can just always get it a little bit bigger. Okay, so what is it that we want to do? What we want to do is control our Beetle with the up, down, left and right arrow keys, so it can move around the maze. And well, it shouldn't touch black in the maze, and something good should happen when it reaches the muffin. Maria, what would you suggest that is something? What should that something be?
I don't know, maybe like a nice melody or fireworks.
Fireworks. Cool. I can't remember how we do fireworks in Scratch. Is there a way to do it?
I don't know. Is there another like sprayer or something that is like fireworks?
Oh, very possibly. I'll have a look. Or we could just, turn our muffin into something fireworky.
Ooh, yeah, maybe with like candles or something.
Yes. Good. Okay, good. But first things first. How do we move our Beetle with the arrow keys? Well, this to me is the most basic or the key behavior in games. So if you go to events, you'll see that there's a block called, oops, that's not what I wanted. Yes, it is. So there's a block called when space key pressed. And you can actually choose what that key might be. I'm going to go for right. So when right arrow key pressed, what should happen? Well, it should move 10 steps. Okay, I've tried it. I've built it, and now let's test it. So right now I'm just pressing my right arrow key. Oops. Did you see what happened? And did you see what just happened? I was at the wrong place for writing our scripts. So that's why you need to keep testing your code. Okay, so I'll get rid of it and do the same thing, but in the Beatles script. Okay, I'll do that very quickly. Okay, when right arrow key pressed, move 10 steps. Is that working? Yes, it is. Excellent. I'll do the same for, well, let's try up, actually. So I'm lazy, and because I'm lazy, I like duplicating things rather than building them from scratch. So I just right-clicked on the block. I selected, oops. I'll right-click on the top block and select duplicate. And now let's try the up arrow. Right, and now this brings me to a challenge. How do I tell it to go up, to move 10 steps up? Well, the way to do it is by using this block here, point in direction. And you might actually have seen this already in the helicopter game that we saw earlier. So we need to tell it that it's pointing in direction up. Okay, let's try that. Yes, excellent. Shall we do the same with the right arrow? I think that's the best way to do it. So point in direction. Oops. This is the block we want. Point in direction right. Cool. Let's try our right arrow. Good. Excellent. So I'll just duplicate my code for the down behavior. So all I'm changing is the direction. and for left. There. I right-clicked on the wrong block. So if you right-click on the first one and select duplicate, and now we want left. And that's it. So I'll restructure what the different blocks I've got here because I get confused sometimes. So in my head, it's easier to have right and left at the top, up and down underneath, but you know, it doesn't really matter. So let me test those. So we've got down, good. We've got left, excellent. I'll press right and I'll press up. Oops, up, up, up. Good. Okay, very good. Now, where should our beetle be at the beginning of the game? Remember where we placed it previously? Here. That's it. So I'm going to tell Scratch that my beetle is there when our game starts. When our game starts is really when green flag clicked, okay? And again, you might have seen this with the helicopter example. There's a go to button here in motion. So we need to tell it where to go at the beginning of the game. Where would that be? Well, remember, when we move our mouse or our arrow somewhere here on stage, these two X and Y values change. So they show me where I currently am. So I'll move it just over the location I want to go. So minus 208, 138. Okay, minus 208, 138. Oh, well, that's pretty much what I had there. Very good. So Scratch was clever to give me the location that my beetle was at the beginning. So just to test if it works, I'll just move it somewhere else and I'll hit the green flag. Hooray, that's it. It worked. Good. So right now, I know where my beetle should be at the beginning of the game and I can move it around. But we said it shouldn't touch black, right? Well, that's something that we can program. So it should never touch black. So it should always be checking whether it is touching black. And if it is, something should happen. I don't know, maybe the beetle would say, ouch, or something like that. So this kind of behavior is what we discussed as forever if. So forever, it needs to check if a condition holds. And that condition is if it is touching blue. So let's start by bringing the forever. And what should it be checking? If it is touching blue, if it is touching black. So touching black is something that I can find in sensing. So I'll go there. And it's the second block that you find here. Here it is. I'll click on the color and click on somewhere on my black lines, and that's it. So forever, if touching black, then something should happen. I'll keep things simple for now, and I'll just have my beetle say ouch or something else when it touches black. I'll say, let's see. Arg. Okay, and actually I'll just have it say it for 1 second. Okay, right now you'll see that my forever block is just hanging around. So when should this be this behavior take place? As soon as my game begins, right? So after I've hit the green flag. So actually, you could either have it here or in a separate green flag block. But I think that here it should work very well. So when the green flag is clicked, my beetle goes to the position I want it to, and then forever we keep checking this condition. Okay, let's see if it works. So I need to hit the green flag. There we go. I hit the green flag. And now let's go down. and turn right. Ah, good. There it is. It worked. Good. Whew. I'll keep navigating. Now, I think I might have been a little bit too with our maze here, a little bit too challenging. So what I'll do is shrink our beetle a little bit more. So click on this button, shrink it, shrink it. I think that should do. Let's try it again. I'll hit the green flag. Good. Ah, okay, good. I managed. Okay, excellent. Now we can see that it's working, so it's all good. I'll hit the red button. And now we need to think about what it is that happens when we find that muffin, or when the beetle touches the muffin. I might go for an easier version of fireworks that Maria suggested, and just go for some maybe color effect, or well, or even sound effects, or a combination of the two. Okay, good. Let's do that. So we need to have, again, a behavior where it's always being checked whether the beetle is touching the muffin. We could decide to include that within the beetle behavior or within the muffin behavior. I don't think it really matters. I think for this particular case, since we want the muffin to change color and do something, then it's best to include it in the muffin's script. So let's see, I'll click on the muffin, and I'll bring our when green flag clicked block. And then remember we did the forever if thing there. We'll do the same within the muffin. So forever and if. And what is the condition that we're checking? It is whether it is touching the beetle. So let's see. We could have used touching color, but I think the first block here is more appropriate. So if touching, and you can choose what it is that it is touching, and it's the beetle. Okay. So forever if touching beetle, then what? Okay, we'll go to looks and see what we can do there. So we can change the color effect. Ooh, I remember there was something really cool. Let's see. Change size by. Okay, we'll change the color. And we will, what else shall we do? We'll include a sound. Just the pop. Yeah, that will do. Yeah, I'll just go for the pop sound right now. And I'll include it just underneath my change color effect block. Good. Okay, let's try it to see if it works. So, okay, I'm going to be cheeky here, but right now I'm not playing the game. I'm just testing things, okay? So I'll just move my beetle somewhere close to the muffin. Oh,
the green
I
flag
didn't.
maybe.
Oh, yes, of course. I didn't hit the green flag. Thank you, Maria. Okay, good. And now I'll be cheeky again and move it over here. Ooh, yay. Good. And now let's try to play the game. So I hit the red button and I'll go to the beginning. Okay. Maria, would you like to have a go?
Oh my god. Okay, let's see. Whew. Scary. I can do it.
You can do it, Maria.
Told you, I like computer games when I was little, so. Congratulations, Maria. Thank you.
Good. So that's pretty much it. That's our game. Now, the reason why I like this game is because it doesn't take too long to implement. Testing is fairly easy, but really what I enjoy the most is the fact that you can use this as a template or as a basis to extend it even further, so you can remix the game. So I have a few ideas for a mixing game, and I'm sure Maria will have one or two as well. So my first idea is to include some other obstacles while our beetle is navigating through the maze. I don't know, maybe there are some flying bananas around that the beetle should avoid. What do you think, Maria? Any other ideas?
That sounds like a good idea. Oh yeah, I was also thinking of restarting the game when you hit instead of just saying ouch, which will make it really difficult because then you have to,
Excellent.
Get back to the beginning.
And I think that's a little bit more realistic than what we've got here. Very good. And in fact, we could, when restarting the game, I think we could do something like, I don't know, have a number of lives for our beetle. And every time it touches a black line, it loses a life. Now, in week 3, we had a look at variables. And that's exactly what we would use in this case, a variable to represent the number of lives. Excellent. Good. So I think I'll stop sharing my screen now, if I manage to do that. No, that's us. Yes, good. So we're back. We're back live, and I think that's pretty much it for today. This was a celebration of Scratch Day, a virtual celebration of Scratch Day. There are many events taking place all around the world. If you Google Scratch Day and you see, you have a look at the map there, I think it's really exciting. So this is just an extra opportunity for us to show you what you can do in Scratch, to tell you how well you're doing in the course, to introduce Maria, who has been with us for a few months now. And yeah, to say that we're still around, we're still very excited to see your work, and we hope you enjoy the course. Okay, so I think that's us. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. See you. Bye.
See you. Bye-bye.